Welcome to day 18 of our Fcc Advent Countdown. Really excited for these final week or so of videos. And I want to let you know that we're shifting again. So we walked through a bunch of scriptures leading up to the birth of Christ. And then we went back and we looked at some Old Testament prophetic scriptures and how they relate to the New Testament. And what I thought would be great for this final week leading up to Christmas Day would be to think back, and we're going to do a little extra biblical thinking, which means there's some gaps in the gospel accounts we don't have details on. And I thought it would be cool to think back to the very first Christmas week. In other words, let's talk and think about Mary and Joseph and the week leading up to Christmas Eve and then the birth of Jesus. We talk a lot about knowing they had to make this journey to Bethlehem, and we talk a lot about the nativity and kind of the birth of Christ and all that surrounded it. But we don't have much information in the Gospels about that week. Here's what we do know. We know that it took about, maybe 7 to 10 days. It was 90 miles or so from where they were to Bethlehem. And so, a lot of scholars say maybe 20 miles a day at best, but this is a woman who's 9 months pregnant, so I'm guessing it is a little less. We don't know if just the two of them traveled or if they traveled with a family kind of caravan group. We really don't have definitive answers on any of that stuff, but we do have an item as we start this week of thinking through journeying with Mary and Joseph. We're going to try to fill 7 days with thoughts on this. So first thing we're thinking of is, what's this? It's a box. Now, this box is pretty small because it has to fit in our cabinet, but imagine a much larger box. And for me, when I think of a box, at least at this point in my life, I think of moving. We have been here about, a year and a half, 2 years, I don't know. COVID has got me all screwed up, but we've been here not that long in the grand scheme of our lives here in Oroville. And we still have boxes in our garage that we've not unpacked. In fact, I think we have boxes that haven't been unpacked since like 3 moves ago. But the point is, when you make a trip, even though Mary and Joseph weren't moving, they were traveling a long way, having to provide their own food and their clothing. It's very likely this was a harsh time of year, so they had to deal with weather. They had to deal with the fact that Mary was pregnant and how to be prepared if the baby was to come on the trip at some point. So they had to have stuff around them and ready to go. So I want you to take yourself back momentarily. We're almost done. Stay with me. Take yourself back momentarily and think about getting ready for a big trip. We all make trips. So think about getting ready for a big road trip and the amount of work that goes into that. And now imagine doing it when you are as pregnant can be, just a week away from giving birth. And now imagine you don't have all of the luxuries that we have today, but instead it's 2,000 years ago and you're walking and you're backpacking everything and you can't, it's different. And so I want you to just consider today, kind of our takeaway is this. God invited Joseph and Mary to partner with them in the birth of Jesus, and he specifically invited them to partner with him to fulfill prophecy to see Jesus born where the Messiah should be born. And God could have just gone, man, this is going to be tough, boop, and just beamed them to where they needed to be, but he didn't do that. Instead, they had to go to the arduous task. They had to do the hard work. They had to pack up and make this very difficult trip. Mary had to make an incredibly hard trip, fully pregnant, carrying the Messiah. And the lesson for us, again, the takeaway should be this. God invites us to partner with him, but he doesn't always just miraculously make things easy. He does put the path before us. He does give us a path to victory. He does go before us in all that he asks us to do, and he equips us to do it. But he doesn't always make it easy because we don't live in an easy world. One day in heaven, it will be easy. But right now, we're living within the confines of this creation and of humanity and of a sinful, fallen world. And so if Joseph and Mary had to do hard stuff, we're going to have to do hard stuff. So please don't ever assume that just because the path or the journey has some difficulty, it doesn't mean it's not God's plan. It doesn't mean God's not with you. It doesn't mean God's not on your side. For crying out loud, Joseph and Mary had to make a difficult trip, and that was God himself in the womb. Lord bless you. Merry Christmas.